Subscribe for more mysteries, unsolved and unexplained.
Today, we are cracking open a truly chilling evidence board to examine the physical artifacts left behind by one of history's most elusive phantoms. For this explainer, we're going to bypass the usual internet rumors and focus squarely on the tangible stuff, the physical evidence, the terrifying correspondence, and the rigorous investigations that have kept this cold case burning for over half a century. This is the Zodiac speaking. It's a simple phrase, but it literally sent shivers down the spine of the San Francisco Bay Area back in the late 1960s. The killer used this infamous introduction over and over in his letters to the press. You see, it wasn't just a greeting, it was a brand. And what we're going to look at today is exactly how this individual weaponized that brand to manipulate the media and terrorize an entire state. Here is our agenda for this explainer. First, the Bay Area murders, then the mark of the Zodiac, followed by cracking the ciphers, paper trails and taunts, and we will wrap up with suspects and the investigation. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the Bay Area murders. We're looking at 4 canonical, confirmed attacks spanning from late 1968 into the fall of 1969. It all started in December 68 at a lover's lane on Lake Herman Road in Benicia. Then in July 69, a second attack hit Blue Rock Springs Park in Vallejo. September brought a totally horrific daytime attack at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. And finally, there was a sudden, jarring shift in tactics in October 1969 with the fatal shooting of a taxi driver in the Presidio Heights neighborhood of San Francisco. Across these 4 attacks, 5 victims tragically lost their lives, but miraculously, 2 survived to provide absolutely crucial eyewitness testimony.
Because of those accounts, we actually got a face to the mystery. Based on descriptions from the Presidio Heights attack, police were looking for a man roughly 6 feet tall, weighing around 200 pounds, and wearing heavy, dark-rimmed glasses. This composite sketch immediately became the defining image of the Zodiac, plastered across wanted posters and newspapers all over the country.
Moving right along to Section 2, Mark of the Zodiac.
After stabbing 2 victims at Lake Berryessa, the killer didn't just vanish into the night. Look at how brazen this is. He actually took the time to write out a message on the victim's car door in black felt-tip pen. He listed the exact dates of his previous attacks and then signed it with his now infamous symbol, a circle with a cross through it, basically looking like the crosshairs of a gun sight. This wasn't just a crime. It was a theatrical performance meant to be discovered by law enforcement. And this number right here brilliantly illustrates that obsession with performance. The Zodiac claimed 37 victims in his later letters, but the police, they only ever confirmed 5. This massive discrepancy perfectly highlights his psychological need for notoriety. He desperately wanted the public to believe he was this omnipresent monster, manipulating the media to amplify his terror way beyond his actual confirmed body count.
Which brings us to Section 3, cracking the ciphers.
In August 1969, the Zodiac sent the Z408 cipher. It was a 408-symbol puzzle split into 3 parts, sent to 3 different newspapers with a threat of more violence if they weren't printed on the front page. But here is where things get really fascinating. Despite the FBI and CIA getting involved, this code was cracked in a matter of days by an amateur code-breaking couple from Salinas named Donald and Betty Harden. Betty deployed this brilliant strategy. She guessed the killer's massive ego would lead him to use the word kill. And you know what? She hit the nail on the head.
So, what did the decoded message actually say? It read, in part, "I like killing people because it is so much fun." The message was packed with deliberate misspellings and revealed a deeply twisted motive, claiming he believed he was collecting slaves for the afterlife. It gave us a chilling glimpse into his mind, sure, but it strategically failed to reveal his actual identity.
So you gotta ask yourself about this massive, decades-long puzzle. If a husband and wife duo cracked his first code in just a few days over their breakfast table, why on earth did his next major cipher, the notorious Z340, completely baffle the FBI, the CIA, and literally thousands of amateur sleuths for over 5 decades?
Well, the answer lies in just how incredibly complex he made it. It required a modern technological marvel to finally break it open. In a massive 2020 crowdsourced breakthrough, an international team featuring an American software engineer, an Australian mathematician, and a Belgian programmer finally tackled the code. They used a custom-built program called AZ Decrypt, running over 650,000 possible solutions using immense computational power. Finally, in December 2020, the FBI officially verified their decryption. The message confirmed he wasn't afraid of the gas chamber, but yet again, he gave no name.
Next up is Section 4, Paper Trails and Taunts. The sheer volume and strangeness of his ongoing taunts is just staggering when you look at it. He created these bizarre artifacts, like the 13-hole punch card made out of heavy cardstock, and sent incredibly creepy notes, like the Halloween card directly to Chronicle reporter Paul Avery, threatening him personally. The killer was basically treating the police investigation like a morbid game of cat and mouse, constantly changing up his medium to keep everyone off balance.
And when the police started doubting if these letters were actually from the killer or just some prankster, he escalated. To make absolutely sure law enforcement knew he wasn't faking, he mailed the ultimate undeniable proof: actual pieces of taxi driver Paul Stein's bloodied shirt. He sent one swatch to the San Francisco Chronicle and later another to high-profile attorney Melvin Belli. It was a gruesome validation of exactly who they were dealing with.
And yet some codes are still haunting cryptologists today. Take a look at these two shorter ciphers that remain entirely unsolved. The Z13, sent in April 1970, was preceded by the incredibly tantalizing phrase, "My name is." Then there's the Z32, which claimed to hide the location of a bomb. The main problem experts face today is that these ciphers are simply too short. There just isn't enough repeating data to mathematically verify any proposed solutions, making it practically impossible to know for sure if anyone has actually cracked them.
Alongside that unsolved Z32 cipher, he included another deeply unsettling artifact. It was a standard Phillips 66 roadmap of the San Francisco Bay Area. But right over Mount Diablo, he drew his crosshair symbol, acting as a twisted compass rose. He claimed the map, when combined with the code, would reveal where he had buried a bomb specifically designed to blow up a school bus. Thankfully, despite massive public panic and exhaustive police searches, no such bomb was ever found.
And finally, we reach Section 5, Suspects and the Investigation.
Despite literally thousands of theories over the years, there is one name that constantly rises above the rest: Arthur Leigh Allen. A former elementary school teacher and convicted sex offender, Allen is the only suspect ever officially named by police in this case. He wore a Zodiac brand watch, he was in the right areas at exactly the right times, and the circumstantial evidence around him was an absolute mountain. But here is the massive however. Experts could never definitively match his handwriting to the letters, and later DNA tests simply did not link him to the evidence.
Since there was no definitive match, the investigation had to adapt, pushing straight into the modern scientific era. In 2002, the SFPD managed to pull a partial DNA profile from the saliva on the stamps of the Zodiac's letters. While the case went briefly inactive in 2004, it was reopened just 2 years later. Fast forward to 2018, and Vallejo PD attempted to use GED match, which is the exact same genealogy tracking technology they used to catch the Golden State Killer. To date, those results haven't cracked the case, but an incredibly active, global community of amateur sleuth continues to crowdsource the search every single day. To really wrap your head around the gravity of this hunt, consider this number. Over 2,500 suspects were investigated by the San Francisco Police Department alone. That doesn't even count the suspects looked at by Vallejo PD, Napa County, or the FBI. The sheer scale of this manhunt is just staggering. And yet, the true identity remains locked away.
Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. We've seen the bloodied shirts, the custom maps, the taunting letters, and the uncracked ciphers. With forensic genealogy and DNA technology advancing at such a rapid pace, you have to wonder, is the key to identifying this phantom not out there hidden in the ether, but actually sitting quietly in a cardboard evidence box right now, just waiting for the next major scientific breakthrough? The case is still open, and the truth might be a lot closer than we think. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the Zodiac case files.